Settling into your morning practice, feel your sit bones and make sure you're planted evenly on your seat. Check in with your pubic bone and tailbone. And for a moment, think of a dog tucking its tail under its body, and tuck your tail. Feel how that shifts your pelvis and how it may also shift your low ribs, your shoulder girdle, and your chin. And then untuck the tail and reach it back behind you as if you were a dog getting ready to lift your tail and wag, taking your pubic bone forward at the same time, stretching the pelvic floor front to back. And then just rest into an open pelvic floor. Invite the breath deep into the low back and belly. Bring your hands to your hips and feel the front hip pointers. And imagine drawing those hip pointers towards one another, broadening across the back of your pelvis and drawing the front hip pointers towards one another. Like you're drawing close the drawstring of your sweatpants. And then where the drawstring would tie, draw your belly energetically back a little bit and zip up the rectus abdominis, zip up in front of the spine, all the way to a lifting heart. Now rest your hands and breathe into the lowest circle of your rib cage. Breathe the front ribs open and the back ribs back. Visualize that ray of your diaphragm swimming. It is very important for many of the systems in our body that we breathe with our diaphragm. Pumps the lymph, it stretches fascial connections. Feel for any stretching action that comes with the breath deep towards the spine. Now bring your fingers to the lowest notch of your sternum. And imagine a band moving from this notch across your chest, under your breasts, and like a bra strap around back to attach. And imagine it's a broad strap and you can tuck the lower tips of your shoulder blades into it. Notice how when you tuck in these lower tips of your shoulder blades, the chest may lift. Keep breathing into the lowest back ribs. And also breathe into the back of this chest band as you tuck the lower tips of your shoulder blades into it. And breathe a buoyancy to the heart. Now come up to your shoulder girdle, the girdle of your collarbones. And imagine a collar that is equally open on the front and the back. You may have to lift the heart and relax the back of the collar. Our upper traps can pull the back of the collar up towards the top of our neck. We're going to let the back of the collar open. Now imagine this collarbone band, a sphere, not a sphere, a disc that is floating in parallel over the chest band and over the lowest rib disc. Let them float one above the other, these discs. Let the back of the collarbone disc open and relax. And then let your neck lift out of it. And bring your thumbs up under your chin and your fingers up under the base of your skull and gently lift. But lift the base of the skull a little more than the chin. And imagine your horseshoe-shaped hyoid bone in your neck crease and let it release back in and up. And release your hands and bring them to the bridge of your nose, to that spot between your eyebrows. Massage the third eye across the eyebrows. And imagine a little eye mask across your eyes to the back of your skull. Releasing your hands, let this eye disc float above the collarbone disc, float above the chest disc, float above the lowest ribs. Breathing into your back body, gently tie the drawstring from hip pointer to hip pointer. And gently zip up underneath, inside the pelvis, along the spine, zip all the way up through the neck and into the skull. Lengthening the front of the spine. Knowing that you can activate this line of strength to support the spine. Lift it right up into the skull where it meets the skull. Relaxing the shoulder girdle broad. Releasing the back of the collar. A three-dimensional breath. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we become more aware of our posture and the connections along the spine. Namaste. Okay, let's come to standing. And let's begin today with the heels beneath the sit bones. And ground the heels. And ground the big toe ball mounds and the pinky toe ball mounds. Check in that your knees aren't hyperextending. and find your lower tips of your shoulder blades and tuck them into the chest strap. Open the back of your collar and bend your knees like your back is sliding down a wall. Just bend them very slightly. Now right here, pull on that lower hip circle band. Feel how it can engage you towards stability and root your heels, root your ball mounts. Sorry. Lift up through your pelvic floor along the spine. Izzy just saw a box that I left on the porch and was like, that doesn't belong there. Lift one ring up above the other, up above the other. And now, with your legs stabilized inward, I want you to press your thighs out. So your knees are a little bent so you won't have torsion in the knees. Press your thighs out. Bring your hands to your pelvic rim. And begin to tilt forward. Keep lengthening the spine. Press the thighs wide out. So you're taking your sit bones apart. The thighs are pressing wide. For those of you that are stiffer, this may make for an easier forward fold. And then unhinge and stand up straight. Lift the collarbone ring, the eye mask ring. And then bend your knees, slide your back down the wall. Shoulder blade tips tucked into the chest band. Bring your hands to your pelvic rim, shoulder blades on your back. Pressing into your feet, take your thighs wide into the pelvis. Like you're pressing the pelvis apart with your thigh bones as you root the four corners of your feet and tilt the pelvis forward. Keep your neutral spine. Only go as far as you can keep your neutral spine. Keep your neutral spine. Stay long through the top of the head, shoulder blades on the back body, and then press down into the feet and unhinge. And lengthen up, hot air balloon lifting you skyward. And let yourself begin to sway. And now, yes, those discs float side to side, and they even come at angles to each other. But we're aware of them. We're aware of having our shoulders kind of even between front body and back. And let's really concentrate today on opening this back of the collar. Open the back of the collar. Open the front of the collar. Relax the back of the collar. And sway. And let your arms sway if that's comfortable to you. And you can come off and point a toe. But stay conscious in the shoulder girdle and in a lengthening neck. Feel into the body as it flows. And then let the feet land and inhale, arms up to the left and exhale them down to the right. And invite the myofascial network to open. Feet open wide on the floor. Feel into where the fascia stretches and what you can learn about your own body as you move. Exhale the arms down and inhale them up the other way. Ground into the whole open foot. As you lengthen up, feel the stretch of the spine skyward, the impact the fascia of the arms may have on the shoulder girdle and spine itself. And let your arms come down. And inhale, let them float skyward. Exhale, let them come wide. And then roll one shoulder and then the other. Stretching the fascia again. Feel for the movement of the shoulder blade on the back body. Invite that area to open. As you take the head of the arm bone back, feel for a stretch in the front chest at the pectoralis minor. Reach for it, feel for it. Take the elbow into the stretch if you'd like to. Fluid breath. pointing the toe as you lean away from the foot on the floor. Try to find length through that leg. So remember, when we straighten a leg, we engage that inner thigh, that vastus medialis. So see if you can point that leg you're leaning away from towards straight. Yeah. Fluid breath. Fluid stretch. And then let the arms come down and the hands come to your pelvic rim. Thumbs around the back, elbows towards the back, root down through the feet. Align these circles as best you can. And drawing the elbows gently towards each other, feel into this collarbone ring. Notice if there's a tightness that pulls the head of your arm bones forward. Don't force it back, but invite it to open. Root your tail. Lift your low rib ring. Lift your chest ring and tuck the tips of your shoulder blades into the back of the chest ring and lift your heart. Lengthen the neck out of the collarbone circle. Lengthen through your crown chakra. Invite the breath up into the chest. And release. Okay, let's bring our hand to a wall or to a door frame if you have wrists that need support. And place your thumbs skyward and your hands across your ribs and gently open away to stretch your pec minor. Fluid breath. And then we come into our own movements for the stretch. Maybe you rock gently side to side. Really stay aware of this tissue in the chest. Is this helping or is it too much? Maybe you come to stillness and bend the knees slightly and lift the heart slightly. And then come back to your three-dimensional breath and invite it to inflate and stretch this tissue in the chest. Even here, can you rest the hyoid bone back? Lift the base of the skull. And then exhale. Turn towards your hand on the wall. And let's try the other side. Twisting away, make sure that the head of the arm bone isn't popping out of the socket. And ground to your feet and maybe you sway gently side to side. Thumb points skyward so you have a little external rotation of the arm. So your thumb's at 12 o'clock. Yeah. Maybe you bend the knees and breathe up into the chest in a slight back bend. Only do what feels good in your shoulder joint. Fluid breath. And release. And roll your shoulders. And then step your back against the wall. Open the front of your collarbone circle. Rest the back of your collarbone circle down. Rest your head back, root your tail. Stand firm on the four corners of both feet. And as you root the four corners, lift your toes. Feel your arches lift. Maintain your arches as you release the toes. Check in with your knees. They aren't hyperextending, so you have good connection with the earth. And bend your knees slightly forward. And take your hips wide. So you can imagine creating banks of your river with your shins so that you don't roll out, you're not rolling onto the outer edges of your feet. And you're pressing your thighs out wide in the pelvis. And as you press the thighs wide, imagine drawing the drawstring of the front hip pointers towards one another. Imagine you have strings that move towards like another drawstring at your navel. Draw that towards one another. Even draw the lower front ribs towards one another. Now you're activating the front of your transverse abdominis. Take an inhale. Exhale through pursed lips. We're activating that transverse abdominis. Inhale. Exhale through pursed lips. And gently straighten your legs. Breathe into the lowest circle of your ribs. Lift this lowest circle away from the pelvis. Lift the collarbone circle away from the low rib circle. Rest the back of the collarbone circle and lift and broaden the front of the collarbone circle, but not past neutral. Breathe up the length of the spine. Head of the arm bones back. We're stretching the front pec minor even here. And exhale, release. And roll your shoulders. And pause in your mountain pose. Let your eye band rest back. Your hyoid bone rest back. Imagine the hot air balloon lifting you here straight up. Let your shoulder girdle relax down. Breathe, even opening into your collar. Into your lowest circle of ribs. And then turn toward your wall and lift your hands up the wall and wide. Come up onto your transverse arch, big toe ball mount to pinky toe ball mount. And slowly begin to settle your heels and let the pelvis anchor away from the low ribs. As it does, can you tighten the drawstring on the front hip pointers? Can you tighten the drawstring around the navel and from low rib to low rib? And let your hands come down the wall and step back into your half dog. Keep those drawstrings around the front abdominal core drawing and zip up along the front of the spine all the way into the skull and float one leg up behind you, Virabhadrasana 3. Bring your hands to fingertips. And maybe one hand comes off and fingers towards the floor, and then you float it out to the side as a wing and draw the shoulder blade up onto the back. Fluid breath. If you have the balance, you can bring both wings up. Now notice if your collar has gotten squunched up around your skull, release the collar away towards your hips and lengthen the neck. Your eye band is floating away from your collarbone band, away from your chest band, and you're zipping up along the front spine. And bring your hands back to the wall and step in, fingertips at shoulder height. Isometrically draw the hands down and lift the heart and lift the base of the skull and chin. Let the hyoid bone rest in. Tuck the tips of your shoulder blades into the chest strap and lift the heart. Lift the low back rib ring as you ground the tail. Now slightly bend your knees and press your thigh bones wide into the pelvis. Press into the four corners of your feet. Press the thigh bones wide into the pelvis and draw the drawstring of your front hip pointers together. The drawstring across the navel together. Across the low front ribs together. Lift with your shoulder blades. And exhale, come back to standing. And release for a moment to mountain pose. Think of these discs floating one above the other, above the other. Fluid breath. Three-dimensional breath. Now again, imagine a dog tucking its tail and tuck your tail under. Feel how that changes the shape, not only of your pelvis, but of your low back, your rib cage, your collarbones, your neck. And then come back up. Reach the tail behind you away from the pubic bone, like you're getting ready to wag your tail. And then come back to neutral. And bring your hands back up the wall. Fingertips up high. Slowly lower your heels. Lower your heels. Breathe into the whole circumference of your torso. Release the collarbones and spread the shoulders a little wider. And walk back, taking your pelvis far behind you. Gaze at the floor. Float your next foot up behind you. Maybe you come to fingertips. Again, think of those drawstrings of your hips drawing together, front hips. Drawstring across the navel. Drawstring from low rib to low rib. A zipper up inside along the front spine all the way through the neck into the skull. And if you'd like to, release one wing and draw that shoulder blade onto your back. Fluid breath. And if you have the balance, open the other wing. Release the back of the collarbone, the back of the collar. Fluid breath, long neck. And then hands back to the wall. Walk in for one more standing cobra. Fingertips at the height of the top of your shoulders. Isometrically draw the hands down and lengthen the back body. Find that zipper up the front spine all the way into the neck and let the hyoid bone rest back towards it. Feel your shoulder blades strong on the back. Tuck the lower tips into that bra strap, even those of you that don't wear bras. And bend your knees just slightly. And take your thighs wide in the pelvis. And draw the front drawstring together, the drawstrings around the navel together, from one side rib to the other together. And lift your heart. And tuck those shoulder blade tips in to help you lift the heart. Lift the heart. Imagine a strap around the base of the skull helping you lengthen the neck as you lift the heart, as you rest the head back and the front neck flexors turn on. And then exhale, release. And release from the wall and come back to your mat. And roll one shoulder up, down, and back, and the other. And come back into a little fluid movement after that concentration. And let your elbows move. And notice, oh, is the fascia of my body opening? Fluid breath. Fluid motion with postural awareness. With awareness of our ability to lift one band away from the other and create space. Even on the side that we're bending in towards. Even in the side bending. Fluid breath. And then a release and pause in your mountain pose. And then step your feet wide. Step your feet wide and turn the left foot out. Take your right heel back. Float your arms up. Coming into your star pose. These rings float one on top of the other. They're like discs through the body horizontally. And bend into the front knee, knee over ankle. Feel into that collarbone circle, still floating over that rib circle, that hip circle. And now, keeping that thought of the eye band still floating above the collarbone, turn your gaze to look out over the front fingers. Bring the right hand behind your head and rest your eye mask back into the hand. Rest the hyoid bone into the throat crease. So that we keep the back of the neck long, you can gently traction the back of your head and release the hand. Fluid breath. Collarbones floating up above the chest ring. Turn your palms forward. Find those low tips of your shoulder blades. Tuck them into the strap. And bring the left hand to the femur and the right arm alongside the ear. And stretch open. Broaden across the shoulder girdle and stretch open. And then lengthen, lowering onto your forearm and exhale, heart towards the earth. And inhale, heart towards the heavens. And exhale. And inhale. And ground from the outer hip into the back outer heel. Fluid breath. Lift back into your Parsvakonasana and float back up. Think of those discs floating one above the other. Create space in the spine. Turn the left palm up and gently lift as your right fingers come to your back leg. Now feel into this collarbone circle and let it broaden. Let it open so your neck can lengthen out of it and your eye mask can float away from it. Breathe into an opening neck, to a strengthening neck in these front neck flexors. And then exhale back up through star pose, keeping the spine long. Let the discs hinge so that they're still parallel. Throat, eye band, collarbone band, chest band. Feel it. And can you lengthen and create space along the spine and space between those discs? Turn the palms forward. Find the shoulder blade tips. Tuck them into the back chest. And float back up. And turn the left leg in and the right leg out. Open the arms again and settle into Virabhadrasana 2. Now remember, if you're having a hard time aligning the hips, you can take the right foot back and the left foot forward to the sides of the mat. Pause here. Make sure your knees aligning over your second metatarsal. And rest your eyes back in their sockets. And then turn the head to look out over the right fingers. Bring the left hand to the base of the back of the skull and rest your head and your eyes back. Think of this eye disc lining up over the collarbone disc, even here, and release your arm. Think of the collarbone disc rising up over the chest disc, up over the lowest ribs, up over the ring at the navel, up over the tops of the hips. Can you draw in the drawstrings at the hip pointers, at the navel, and even at the low ribs, and zip up along the front of the spine, even up into the neck? And bring the right hand to the femur and the left arm alongside the ear. Keep space in the right side of these discs, even if you come low. Long, strong spine. Beautiful poses, Terry and Anna, really spacious. Ground into the four corners of your feet and bow the heart towards earth and lift the heart towards heaven. Beautiful. Nice alignment, John. Fluid breath. Yeah, nice length, Vicky. And open. Now really spread shoulder away from shoulder. You can lengthen your arm. It can be even up here, but we want this collarbone area open. And then we float back up through Virabhadrasana 2, and we pause. And we space out those discs. And then we release the left fingers and lift the right palm. And we relax across the collar and lengthen the neck out up into the eye mask through the crown chakra. Feel back from crown chakra, down the line of the spine into the pelvis and rooting legs. And look what your body can do. Exhale, back up, straightening the front leg and hinge. Long spine, discs still aligned into your high trikonasana. Beautiful. Can you find palms forward, those tips of your shoulder blades onto the rib cage? And relax the collar away from the skull. And exhale. Come back to standing and turn the right foot in and step together. Mountain pose. Discs floating one above the other. Rest your eye mask back, your hyoid bone in and up, and slightly bend your knees. Make sure that your feet are well aligned. Heels under sit bones, second metatarsals parallel, knees gently bent. And press your thigh bones out into the pelvis, stretching the pelvis wide. It's important that the knees are slightly bent, or you can put torsion on the knees. Press the thigh bones out. Lengthen up through the spine and draw the drawstring, the front hip pointers together at the navel, at the front ribs. Like there's a little drawstring right here where the ribs are a little far apart. You're tying them in so they know each other. And then zip up beneath them all the way up the neck into the head. And bring your hands to your hips. And bring your thumbs around towards the back, elbows towards the back. Stretch into that front chest. Tailbone grounding, lift the back of the head. Lower tips of the shoulder blades tucked into the chest strap, lift the heart. And then bend the knees a little more, hinge the whole spine forward, keeping the discs evenly separated. Release your hands and let them swing. Think, is the back and the front of my collar, is it open evenly? And inhale the hands up, palm to palm. Rooting into both feet, exhale, twist in one direction. And inhale back to center, shoulder blades on the back, and exhale, twist the other direction. And inhale to center, and exhale, twist. And inhale, center, and exhale, twist. And inhale, center, and exhale, twist. And inhale, and exhale. And inhale, center. Release the arms again. Really let them traction out of the shoulder girdle. And inhale up to standing. Interlace the fingers. Thumbs behind the skull. Open the elbows wide. Now, if you can't do this, your hands could be down here open wide. Find the shoulder blades on your back body. Press the head gently back with the elbows wide. Press the head gently back and traction the back of the neck a little bit. Press the head gently back. And your upper trap can't turn on very easily here, so you can release the shoulders away from the neck, but feel how there are muscles in the lower back working. Ground your tailbone. Press the head gently back at the eye ring. Lift the low rib ring, the chest ring, and release the elbows forward now. Lifting the base of the skull. Stabilize with your hip ring from pubic bone around the hips, around the buttocks. Stabilize with your drawstrings and the zipper. And then lift your elbows. Lift under the back of the heart. And if you'd like to, unfurl your arms, standing back bent. Keep that zip up the spine, those drawstrings at the front ribs, the navel, and the hip pointers. And exhale, release back to standing, mountain pose. Fluid, three-dimensional breath. Now take the right foot forward and the left foot back, rock step. And land both your feet for Virabhadrasana 1. And inhale, lift your arms. And exhale, bend the knee. And inhale, lift from the back arch up into the pelvic floor. Now here, those of us who are looser, who may lose our SI joint sometimes, use that outer hip ring to stabilize. Use the banks of your river. Those of us who collapse the spine forward into a big back bend, lift up the zipper and use your drawstrings. Those of you who have tighter hips, you may press gently the femurs apart. Don't torque the back knee, but just try to open some space in your pelvis. Lift the lower rib ring, lift the chest ring, lift the collarbone ring, lift the eye ring, and lengthen the spine. And exhale, hands to your heart, bow forward. Unfold the hands behind you, thumbs out, palms down, and find the shoulder blades on the back body. Now zip up the front spine. Zip it all the way up into the skull. Keep the shoulder blades hugging onto the back and broaden the whole collar. Feel how the muscles of your back are working in humble warrior. Can you lengthen the spine out of your supported hips? The hip band can still be hugging in. And lift back. One more time, Virabhadrasana. Fluid breath. And exhale. Hands to the heart. Step the feet together. Mountain pose. And feel your body after doing one side asymmetrically. And step the next foot back. Rock step. Okay, ground your feet. And remember, as you bend the front knee forward, it does not come forward of the ankle. We don't want an overly hardened back groin. So that might mean lifting the pelvis back slightly or straightening the front knee a little bit. And then rooting into the feet. Find that hip ring stability if you need it. And if you need a little more space, find a widening at the inner thighs. Lift through the pelvic floor and lengthen the spine. Zip up the front of the spine. And take those discs one away from the other. But make sure you're lifting the back of the skull, that you're lifting the eye mask disc, and you're broadening the collar, even if that means taking your arms wide. Broaden the collar and lengthen the neck. The neck is more important than getting your arms to the sky. Fluid breath. Beautiful. Really nice. Make sure you're not lifting the chin and hyperextending the back of the neck. Keep long like you have a strap around the base of the skull. And bring your hands to your heart and bow forward. Really root it to the outer heel of the back foot as you unfurl your wings back, thumbs out, palms down. Find the shoulder blades on the back body and lengthen from your tailbone through the back of the skull. For a moment, imagine you're a dog and you're going to lift your tail and wag it. See if that changes the pose, gives you any more opening. What would happen if you tucked your tail? Where is the good medium for your body? Fluid breath. Here, in these asymmetrical poses, you can still align the pelvic floor. Sit bone to sit bone, pubic bone to tailbone. It may be in a different configuration, but think about it. How does it open? Have I created enough space? And one more time, inhale, lift into your Vira 1. Open across the collar girdle. Fluid breath. Beautiful poses. This is a hard pose. Make sure you're zipping up that front spine to support the lumbar. And step the feet together. Mountain pose. Fluid breath. Let your eye band rest back. Your hyoid bone rest in and up. Your neck crease smiles. Ground from your outer hips into your outer heels. Ground your big toe ball mounds, your pinky toe ball mounds, your inner heels. Lift your toes, lift your arches. Feel up the strength of your legs. Relax the toes and slightly bend the knees. Take your femur bones out into your hips. Press out. Ground the four corners of your feet as you press the femur bones out. Feel how that can widen your pelvis. Draw the drawstring at the hip pointers together, at the navel, at the lowest ribs. Zip up inside that along the spine, all the way up into the neck. And straighten the legs and breathe. Three-dimensional breath. Okay, now I'd like us to come into Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. You can do this from a chair as Uttanasana Konasana if you'd like. Take your blocks in front of you. Take your heels a little bit wide and your hands to your pelvic rim. And from the pelvis, root down into the four corners of your feet. Bring your thumbs around back, elbows back. So you can see I'm continuing to work some of the same motions in many different positions. So we bring the elbows back. We root down the legs and lengthen the spine. Now, can you keep those discs rising one above the other and stay strong in the pelvis as you lift your heart? So you're not collapsing the pelvis forward or the ribs forward. You're stretching the front chest open. Fluid breath. Let the breath come from the inside to lift the chest and stretch the fascia here. Take the base of the skull and the chin away from the collar. The eye mask away from the collar. And then slightly bend your knees and press the femur bones apart. As you fold forward, press the femur bones apart, and you may create a little more space in the pelvis. Bring your hands down to your props. Now, if you're tall, you may want to start on fingertips, right? So that you have length in your spine, in your lumbar spine. Fluid breath, three-dimensional breath. And some of you will take your blocks lower. Knees are slightly bent. You can still press the femurs into the pelvis. Take the sit bones wide and back as you fold forward. And when you're folded, you may want to straighten your legs. But if in doing that, you cat curl the spine, bend them again. Fluid breath, long neutral spine. And some of you may want to sway a little back and forth, opening the fascia of the shoulders, the torso, the hips, whatever opens for you. Fluid, three-dimensional breath to assist with the opening. Traction the pelvis back behind you. And then draw the blocks in. Or, draw the blocks in. Bring your left hand to your blocks and float your right shoulder blade onto the back. Make sure your wrist is not higher than your shoulder. So Debbie, lower your wrist just a little bit. Yeah, really find the shoulder on your back. Play with it a little, John. Lower your wrist just a little bit. Find that shoulder blade right on your back. Good. And then if you'd like to, keeping that shoulder blade there, come into your twist and open. Long, broad across the collarbone and arm. Beautiful awareness, Anna. Fluid breath, breathing space into the spine. Yeah, good. Beautiful poses. And exhale, release back down and switch sides. Really try to find that shoulder blade. That's the important part, right on the rib cage, broaden across the collarbones. It's not how high you get the arm. It's engaging the muscles of the back. That's what we're after. Fluid breath. And as you're ready, let yourself twist it open. Nice awareness, Susie. Flowing around the torso, you can still think of length and twist and length and twist and breathe into it. Beautiful lines, Debbie. Beautiful awareness, Vicky. I see that shoulder on the back body. Fluid breath. Really nice, Terry. Good choice, Jill. Everyone, see, can I relax the shoulder girdle away from my ears at all? And then exhale, release. Pause here for a moment. And again, gently bend your knees. Gently bend your knees and press your thighs wide. Now, those of you who are sitting, I haven't tried it on a chair. Let me do that. Fluid breath. And then walk your blocks in, bring your hands to your pelvic rim and unhinge. Yeah, it's not really, I don't really feel it on the chair. I think you have to be standing. Okay. Come back up to standing. And let's bring our chair or our block into the left side of the mat. Okay. and I may not be doing this the same direction as you. Your chair is on your left. You're going to turn to face the short end and step your right foot forward, left foot back. So the foot behind your prop is the foot you're twisting away from. The foot forward is the foot you're twisting towards, and we're coming into our revolved triangle pose. So we're going to inhale and lengthen up, lift up. We're coming through Parsvottanasana first. We'll hinge forward, lengthening. Take the discs away from each other and bring your hand, your fingertips to whatever prop. Some of you taller people may have a block on the chair. And lengthening out the spine, move the discs away from each other. Wherever angle you're at, you want to be able to create space between the discs. Then float your wing onto your back. Find that shoulder blade and pause here. Feel into the asymmetrical work. So as you lift this arm, your obliques have to really turn on in your core. Inside of the obliques, we want you lengthening your spine and activating your transverse abdominis. Take an inhale. Exhale through pursed lips. Okay, that core is activated. Now lift that right arm. Lengthen and open your revolving triangle. You're twisting towards your front leg. Fluid breath. Release the collar away from the eye mask. Feel into the pose. And exhale, release your lifted wing and float up. Stepping your feet together, mountain pose. Rest your eye band back. Open and relax the back of your collar. Breathe into the back of the chest band and draw your lower tips of your shoulder blades into it. Again, broaden the collar. Breathe into the lowest circle of ribs. Breathe opening into the back of the lowest circle of ribs. Ground into your heels and activate your hip ring. Root down into the four corners of the feet. Activate the hip ring and bend your knees. Now, drawstrings activate. The zipper activates. And we press the thighs wide into the pelvis. Lengthening the spine. Turn your palms forward, thumbs out. Find your shoulder blades strong and wide on the back and hinge forward into your Utkatasana. Keeping broad across the shoulder girdle, strong shoulder blades on the back, long in the neck. Don't drop the head like a heavy fruit. Lift that base of the skull. Three-dimensional breath. If you know you drop and flare the front ribs, draw the front low rib drawstring in. The navel drawstring in, support the lumbar. And come back to standing. And let's switch sides with the props. So I'm really trying to help you train awareness into the back body and strength into the back body. I hope that you're feeling that. Okay, step the left foot forward, right foot back, rock step. And then plant your feet, ground down. This front hip crease comes back, and remember your feet are walking down a trail, so they can be wide, heel sit bone distance wide. And the back foot can turn forward so that your knee feels supported. And then inhale, float your arms skyward this time. Lift with the thumbs like you have a strap over the area between your thumb and index finger. Lift the thumb, lift the strap. Lengthen the back body, root down into the hips, down into the legs, and lift the low back rib ring away from the pelvis and fold forward. And bring your right hand down alongside the left foot onto your prop, whatever height you're using. Now draw the front hip crease back and lengthen the spine. Those of you who need stability, put on that hip ring. Draw and zip up along the front of the spine and then lift the left wing. You're going to twist towards the left leg, lengthening the spine. Begin to lift the left arm. Keep lifting it from under. Remember, you want that shoulder blade higher than the wrist or farther back than the wrist. Yeah, keep lengthening the spine. Take those discs away from each other. Fluid breath. You might need to move your back heel for the health of your knee. Tune into it. Feel the pose. Let the body tell you what it needs you to do to micro fine-tune the posture. And then exhale, release the lifted arm. Inhale the hands to the heart. Mountain pose. Fluid breath. Feels under sit bones. Second metatarsals aligned. Bend your knees slightly. Press your femur bones, your thigh bones out into the pelvis. Lift and lengthen the spine. Take the eye mask back. Turn the palms forward. Find the shoulder blades on your back body. Lift the low rib ring. Lower tips of the shoulder blades tucked into the chest ring. Lift the chest ring. Lift the collarbone ring. The eye ring. And then slowly bend your knees and hinge the pelvis. Hinge the shoulders forward. Stay long and neutral in the spine. Feel the work on the back body. Shoulder blades really drawing onto the back. Breathe the collar broad. Front to back, side to side. Lengthen the neck out of the collar. This might take resting the hyoid bone up and back. And then press into the feet and inhale. Lift your arms. Interlace your fingers the funny way, thumbs to the base of the skull. Draw in your drawstrings. Zip the zipper all the way up into the neck. If it's possible for you, open your elbows wide and press the head back. Now we're working the mid and lower traps. Root your tailbone. Rest your eye ring back. Fluid breath. And then bring the elbows forward. Lift the elbows, lift the base of the skull. Come into your standing back bend. Really traction the base of the skull. And release the arms open. Root the four corners of the feet and see, can you get more length in the spine? We're working your spinal extensors. Root from the hips down, lengthen along the spine itself. And exhale, hands to the heart. Mountain pose. Fluid breath. Okay. Let's come to sitting. Let's all begin on the chair, and then some of you may want to go for the next one to the floor. Sit on your chair, knees to the right. And always remember, if your chair doesn't quite fit your buttocks because of the arm of the chair, you can be kind of at a diagonal. That's fine. Fluid breath. Now, find your pelvic floor and pubic bone to tailbone, and for a moment, tuck your tail. So you're closing the back triangle of your pelvic floor. Feel what that does inside your body. Feel how it can throw the shoulders forward and close off the front of the collar circle. Now take that tailbone back. Broaden the front collar. Now if you take it too far back, Let your front ribs go. Let your chest go forward. And you're going to come into an over-accentuated back bend, right? So we want to draw together across the transverse abdominis, drawing the drawstring of the ribs, the navel, and the hip pointers. And then we lengthen up the spine and bring the hands to the heart. Rest your eye ring back. Fluid breath. Relax your shoulder girdle, especially the back of the shoulder girdle. Breathe space between the rings. And then slowly from the head, begin the twist. Only turn until you meet a little resistance, and then allow the thoracic spine to twist in the lumbar spine, and bring the right hand across the left femur and the left arm open. Remember to lead with the shoulder blade like you have been all class. And relax the shoulder girdle open. And let the superhero eye mask ring float up above your collar. Float up above the chest ring and the low ribs and the pelvis. Feel the breath inside the pose. Invite it to move your lymph, to stretch your tissue, to release adhesions in the body. And then exhale and unwind. And take your legs around to the left. And inhale a length to the spine. Rest your eye mask back, your hyoid bone. And after you found a nice soft length to the spine, begin the twist, head first. Shoulders following. Feel the twisting action down your spine, into the lumbar. And take the left hand across the right leg and the right shoulder back. And breathe the collar wide and open. See if you can relax the back of the collar. Come into your three-dimensional breath. And exhale, unwind. Now, before we go to seated poses on the floor, I'd like us to do our hip opener here. For those of you who've been working on we've all been working on the widening of the pelvis. Let's see if it helps with our hip openers at all. Bring your left ankle across your right femur. Always remember, if this doesn't work for you, you can cross the legs, or you can be anywhere in between, okay? If you're tall, you may want a blanket on your chair. Now inhale and lengthen up. Find that zipper up the front of the spine, even through the neck, so that you don't drop your head forward. And today, let's take our arms open into the cactus position and find the shoulder blades on your back. Bring those lower tips right into that chest band. And from your pelvis, tilt forward. Now right here, take your inner thighs wide first. Take your sit bones wide. Keep your lifted foot flexed. And then hinge. And hinge. Keep the neck long. Keep your discs spaced. Now we're working in the back body as we begin to stretch open the hip. And then release the arms. Lengthen the spine. Fluid breath. It can be here. It can be here. Okay, you don't have to be open all the way here. Fluid breath. Right into the stretching tissue. And then exhale, float back up and release. And bring the right ankle over the left femur. And let the right knee open. And inhale, length to the spine. And open your cactus. Really try to rest the head of the arm bones back. Now, some of you may be here, okay, if you have shoulder issues, but we're still working on finding the shoulder blades on the back ribs as we fold. And it may be better to be in this position here with the knees crossed. You can still get into the hip. Lengthen the spine. And then tilt slightly forward. Keep long in the neck. Feel the work at the back body. We're strengthening those muscles in the back, the rhomboids, the mid and lower trap. Try not to shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. Relax the upper trap. Lengthen the back of the neck. And then release your hands. Breathe length up the spine. Relax the hip open. Deep three-dimensional breath into the stretching tissue. And then exhale and release and step down. Pause with a fluid breath. Invite space up along the spine. Feel into any tissue that's responding with tingling or spaciousness. And let's gently take the left ear towards the left shoulder. Release the right shoulder. In fact, release the right hand. Maybe hold on to the underside of the chair and just lean a little away from the right hand. Keep breathing length and space between those bands. Maybe some of you can turn the gaze towards the floor. Feel for the fascial lines that are stretching. I feel one right into my ear canal. And then release back to center. Pause and feel the difference side to side. And then gently lean your right ear towards your right shoulder. Remember to keep the right side of the neck warm. Release the left arm, and if you'd like to, hold the left side of the chair and lean to the right. Reach out through the crown chakra. It does not have to be far if you have neck issues. You just keep finding that length, inviting that space in between the vertebrae. Like you could plump each disc of the cervical spine. And if you'd like to, turn your gaze towards the floor. You may sway a little forward to back to find where the stretch is best for your body. And come back to center. And feel into your fascia. Now for a moment, bring the chin towards your sternal notch. Now those of you with osteoporosis, you don't go as far. You think of really lifting the hyoid bone and lengthening front and back neck. Those of you without osteoporosis, you could bring your chin a little closer to the sternal notch. Still rest the head back. Breathe into the front chest. And release. So because we did the back bends earlier, tractioning the neck and lifting, we've taken the neck into each kind of stretch today. Let's come up off our chair. You may want it for the end of class. You can keep it close to your mat. Bring in your bolster and bring in a pillow if you use one. We're going to do a couple more exercises for the neck and the upper back. Come down onto the floor. Release your head back and your eye band back. Broad across your shoulder girdle, palms up. Really try to relax your back print into the sand. Come into somatic walking. Fluid breath. Relax your jaw. Relax your eyes. Rock your pelvis. Relax the belly, the navel. And come to neutral. Now, everybody, find your shoulder blades on your back body. And right here, with palms up, thumbs out, press the whole of your arm back into the floor. Now, nod your head gently no as you press the arms back. Try to relax the neck, the jaw, the muscles at the base of the skull, and then just relax the head back. Still pressing back with the arms. We're activating muscles in the back body. Hopefully you can feel it. Keep the spine long. Don't arch the spine away from the floor as you press the arms back. You can stay with this one, or you can bring your hands behind your head, one on top of the other, right behind the eye mask band, at the kind of bulge at the back of your head. And if you're on a pillow, you may take it out so that your head can come a little lower so that your hands are the pillow. And rest your head back into the hands, and then lift the hands, just very slightly lift the head. And press the head back into the hands. The elbows are as open as they're comfortable being. Press the head back into the hands. And feel the muscles activate in your back body. The upper trap can't turn on here. So you have the chance to strengthen your mid and lower trap. Gently pressing the head back. It doesn't have to be at 100% of effort, remember. The hyoid bone can rest in. Strengthening the muscles at the back. And release. Rest your hands on your belly for a moment. Take a few breaths. Now bring your fingertips to your hairline. Nod your nose towards your mouth. And almost lift your forehead into the fingers and almost lift your head off the floor, but don't do it. Think of continuing to lengthen the back of the neck. Strengthen the front of the neck. So you could be lifting at 10% of effort, or 30, or 60, but don't lift the head off the floor. Feel the front neck working. And then release. Relax your jaw, relax your arms, relax your eyes in their sockets. Turning on the front neck flexors. Bring the fingers to the hairline again. Nod your nose towards your mouth. And lengthen the back of the neck, relaxing the shoulders as you lift the hairline towards the fingertips. Don't let the chin jut ahead of the hairline. The hairline lifts. If you can lift from the hairline, try lifting the head off from the hairline and turning your gaze towards your knees. And then release back. And then bring your pillow back in if you use one. Make sure the pillow is just under the head, not the neck and shoulders, and that you have a neutral cervical curve, eyes perpendicular to the floor. Fluid breath. Now gently press the head back and release. And gently press the head back. Palms are up, arms are gently out, and release. You can stay with that straight ahead if you have neck issues, or you can turn your head to the left. And you don't have to turn it all the way, just turn it a little and press back. This helps us release little muscles along the neck that can get hypertonic and release. So if you ever wake up with neck pain after sleeping, this could be a way to relieve it. One more time, if it felt good, press the head, the side of the head gently into the pillow. And release. Take the head back through neutral to the right and press back. Remember, you can work at whatever level of effort feels okay. And release. And then one more time, press back. Invite those muscles to work and then relax and turn your gaze back to center. Beautiful. So, never did we know we could do neck exercises that strengthen and release our tiny neck muscles, right? Okay, let's just let the head bobble a little side to side. Bring your hands up under your neck and give yourself a little bit of a massage between the base of the skull and the shoulders. Massage along the back of the shoulder. This is your upper trap. And this is what can get so tight it almost becomes calcified. So we don't want that to happen. So if you know you tend to carry your tension in the shoulders, this kind of massage is a good idea. And those exercises we just did on the floor for your lower and mid trap, those are a good idea. Massage that upper trap into the neck. Because when these muscles get tight, we can compress the cervical vertebrae. And when we compress the neck, the lumbar can mimic the compression. These are related curves. Now one more time, release your arms beside you and tilt your tailbone towards earth and your tailbone towards sky. And just rock the pelvis. Fluid breath. Broad shoulders. Relaxing the spine. Feel how the whole spine moves with the moving pelvis. And walk your feet wide and your arms wide or up overhead. And take your knees to the left. And stretch along the right side of the spine. The fascial web goes all the way from the fingers, through the armpits, along the chest and spine, down the inner leg to the knee, into the inner arch. Breathe deep into the 3 dimensions of your torso and feel if some of the fascia, the myofascia, is stretching. On the exhales, relax into the hug of gravity. We need the fascia open to be able to really strengthen the muscles back towards balance. Release the knees back through center to the right and stretch the left side. Really scuba dive into the body and notice what fascia is tight. Notice if there's any release on the relax of the exhale. And let your knees come back to center. You can draw your bolster right in under your knees if you like, or if you'd like to have your legs up today, you can draw in your chair. Put your calves on the chair and your sacrum on your bolster. Bring in any eye pillows or blankets that you'd like. There was a lot of mind-body connection in class today. So see if now you can invite both mind and body to relax into a spacious openness. See if you can relax one vertebrae away from the other. Now gently begin to move. Stretch in whatever way your body calls for. Maybe your body doesn't want to stretch. It wants to deepen relaxation as you just move gently. And slowly release yourself from your props and come back up. Fluid breath. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we be present in our bodies so that we can learn how to stretch and strengthen ourselves towards harmony. Namaste. Thank you.